Hello there, Flakers. Give me a Flake Man here. I don't know if you saw the video over on Give Me a Break Man, so I'm going to give you the actual footage, uncut footage right now about what we're going to discuss tonight. Here it is right now. Check it out.
So they're selling mangoes.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I'm at Denny's, right? And I noticed that they're selling mangoes, so I just film it. And when I step outside, I notice there's a couple, and they're having a fight. You know, the guy is actually beating up this girl. So I step in.
That guy's kicking that girl.
And this is what happens.
That guy's kicking that girl. Yeah. See? See? Yeah, I got it from. Hey, asshole! Get your fucking hands off her! Get your hands off her! Get your hands off her! Get your hands off! Get your hands off her! 分かった？はい。何？手伝ってるよ。いや、話して。僕も話すから。もう終わった。何？でもビデオで。ここに入ってる全部。証拠。
Now, I'll be the first to admit that I'm kind of a bully in Japan, but I'm a bully for the right cause. Okay, you might say, oh, well, who are you to judge what's right and what's wrong? Yeah, you're right. You know, but who is anybody, right? So when I see some people doing things that are bad, I try to step in. I'm not always the bigger person, but I mean physically larger, you know. But I do try to step in some way. It's happened, you know, remember I've been here a long time, so it's happened quite a few times here. Now I'll talk about just a couple situations, okay? There's been a couple situations in which I've stepped in and I've been able to separate a girl or protect a girl who's being beaten in the street. The first time I did it, actually, I'd been in Japan less than a month and I couldn't speak any Japanese, and this guy was like backhanding this guy in a suit was backhanding this girl right outside my apartment, and I was in my pajamas, and I walked out in my pajamas, and I didn't know any Japanese, and I said, yada, yada, and which is really gay. I mean, you know, effeminate. Shouldn't say that, shouldn't say gay. Sorry, guys. So I said yada, and I was wearing slippers and bathroom and pajamas, and they were too short, so they're kind of, because they were present, but they were too short because I'm bigger than most pajama sizes, but the funny thing was the woman was more terrified of me than of the guy hitting her, and the guy thought I was funny. And there was actually two guys, and they thought I was funny, and they were both bigger than me. But you know, it was actually the guy went back to slap her, and I grabbed his hand. It's kind of cool actually. Now I remember it like a movie. Maybe the whole thing is a movie. No, he went back to hit her, and I grabbed it. And I said, yada, and I pushed him, pushed it away, and he turned around, and they both laughed at me because I'm wearing pajamas, you know. And anyway, she went off with them, and I couldn't really communicate, so it was kind of pointless, that one. Another situation in which something similar happened. Actually, I saw a couple fighting and arguing, and I yelled at them to stop, and they walked off together. So, and I was actually on my way to a date dinner with my somebody, I don't know. I don't remember who was that. I don't know who. But anyway, then another case, a guy was beating a girl up in the street, and I picked him up and took her off her, and I said to her in Japanese, I will hold him, and if you like, I'll let him go, or you can get in a taxi and go home. You decide. And she got in a taxi and went home. And there you go. So obviously sometimes it's okay. And there was another case in which a girl walked away. Walked away. They were arguing. He had grabbed onto her bag to stop her from leaving. His purse. He was holding onto her purse so she couldn't go. She's like, let go, let go. And I made him let go of the purse, and she could walk away. But this case, what happened in this case was she, even though he was really kicking her ass, man, he was like punching her and choking her and kicking her, she chose to defend him. Now maybe she was scared of me. I don't know. Maybe I united them with my aggression, whatever. But yelling, and a couple things about this. I yelled in English because that throws people off. I could have said something in Japanese, but I wanted the advantage of confusing them with English, right? And I don't know if it works, but I assume that it works. Like a little bit confused, like what, because I'm sure they recognize English from movies and stuff, but they probably don't know how to react, right? And they don't even know if they should try communicating. So it's a little bit odd, I jumped on the guy and just took his hands down, and he wouldn't let go of the girl. He's like holding on to her hand, and I pried the fingers off her and tried to let her, go away. But she came back and she jumped on my back, and I was wearing a big backpack, right? I had my camera and computer and all that crap in there, and she couldn't get a good grip. I'm assuming that's it, but she couldn't get close enough to get a good grip. But she was on my back, like holding on. I had taken the guy down to the ground, and he, basically I overpowered him. But I was in the situation where she was on my back, so if I had let go of him, he would have maybe been able to turn around and start punching me or something, or taking something out of his pocket. Who knows, And so what I did was I said to her, you let go of me and I'll let go of him, because it's over. I said, well, wata, it's over. And she did. She let go of. But the funny thing was, she said, but he didn't do anything. Nothing happened. And I held up the camera. I don't have the camera here, but I held up the camera and I said, this is evidence. And then I turned it off. I should have let it keep running. But then I realized, that it was just a waste of time, because you can't save a girl who wants to be with the guy who's beating her up. So I walked over to my wife and I said, sorry. And she's like, no, she's stupid. That girl is stupid. And that was basically it. And I was completely unscathed from the whole situation, except he broke the band on my watch, which I can get fixed for a couple hundred yen, a couple dollars, But it was just, I just felt kind of like I just wasted my time. Like, you stupid bitch, I'm trying to save you. I kind of felt like a little bit in my head. And, I was replaying the scenario in my scene, like, maybe I should have hit her too, Of course not, I'm just joking, but, or I should have hit her and said, that's the way you hit a woman, Domestic violence is never funny, but, it was so ridiculous, the whole thing. And they walked off together. Like, they didn't even go to the car. After that, they were like, walked off together. He wasn't dragging her anymore, but they were together. But okay, so here's the thing about situations like this. If the police had come, most likely I would have been questioned, and I would have gotten the even if I'd had evidence, Well, no, I'm not sure about that. A lot of guys shouldn't say that, but there was another case in which I actually ran to the police station because like three guys were in a car and they were beating up this girl. And it was like 9 o'clock. I'd just gotten off work. And I was with a bunch of students. We're going to go out to an izakaya, to a bar. And I ran to the police station and said, there's a guy beating up a girl. And they immediately ran and followed me to the car, and they pulled the guy out and they stopped the beating. So that actually worked that time. But another time, in fact, that was years ago, more recent situation, we're at Nagoya Station, my wife and I, Yoko, and I should say Yoko. Don't you think saying my wife is kind of, objectifying her? People actually write comments to me like that, or emails. But anyway, Yoko and I were in front of Nagoya Station, and this high school girl, a junior high school girl, was waiting for a bus, and this weird guy was hassling her, like, hey baby, hey, how you doing, kind of stuff. Except he was kind of scummy, and he was annoying her, and she was like really obviously scared. So I walked into the police because The police station is literally 10 meters behind them. So I walked over to the police station, and I'm like, hey, there's a guy hassling a girl out there. Don't you see that? And the police station, the policeman is like, who are you? Let me see some ID. I'm like, what? He's like, let me see some ID. So that's the kind of that's the kind of situation that happens. Sometimes police are smart and they help you, and sometimes they just want to see your ID. So who knows? It's a what is it called? It's a roll of the dice. What kind of cop you're going to get. But I have heard lots of stories in which foreigners have gotten involved with Japanese in some kind of, physical altercation, and the police often, in those stories, the police have sided with the Japanese, and I don't know if that's always true. Maybe there are many cases. Maybe those are just the ones we remember. But you got to be careful in Japan because that might happen. And the other thing is getting involved as a witness in a Japanese case is kind of I hate to say it, but unless it's a really big crime, it's kind of a waste of time. I witnessed a beating between two Iranians about a year and a half ago, and I actually filmed part of it, handed over the evidence, because it was at the top. I was in my school, and it was 10 stories down, but I was able to film it with a Zoom. But you couldn't see much. But anyway, I handed the film over to the police, and I went down and gave my statement, and the whole thing must have taken like 5 hours, And in the end, the two attackers refused to testify or press charges or whatever against each other. So it was thrown out, it's just basically a big waste of time. So there's always that too. Whoops, heater. Anyway, so what else did I want to tell you about this? It's something that, here's the thing. What I did, was it good? Was it correct? I don't know, But one of the things that bugs me about Japan is that people don't speak up when they see stuff like this happening. You saw the bicycle go right by the couple as they were arguing, right? And that guy didn't do anything, Nobody does anything here. That's one of the reasons, not nobody, but the majority of people don't raise their voices. They just keep to themselves, mind their own business kind of stuff. They don't want to get involved. But there are some people who do. I mean, yes, it's not everybody. So I don't want to label all Japanese people like that, of course. But it's not like the States where, in New York City, man, if you grabbed a girl's butt in New York City, they would pound you. I'm sure. You'd get a beating by strangers, right? But in Japan, man, people grab people. That stuff happens apparently in the subways all the time. I've never seen that happen actually, but nobody does anything, or very rarely do people do anything. People mind their own business here. Not always, though. We have really nosy neighbors who are always looking around. And I actually welcome that because it means if someone tries to break into the house, for example, they're going to notice, right? So, I think I'm not going to apologize for what I did, but I wouldn't recommend other people to do it. I don't think it's heroic. And the other weird thing about this particular incident, though, that the one thing that struck me was how calm the whole thing seemed to me. I was angry, but once I had the guy, under control, it just seemed kind of silly, the whole thing to me. But I think it's important for us as human beings to interfere when we see injustice happening. That's all I want to say. It's scary, I guess. And if you don't have the size or whatever it is that some people have that enables them to physically interfere, then there's other ways to do it. Just get on a telephone or film it and hand it over. Film it with your cell phone and hand it over to the police. But I think doing something is important. Because someday it's going to be you. It's going to be you who's getting screwed over by somebody. No one's going to step in. So, yeah. People have stepped in when I've been hurt and helped me. Mostly accidents, so I've never been attacked or anything. But anyway, so that's my little vlog for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if you can really learn anything from it. But my recommendation, don't get involved, really. But do something. When you see someone getting hurt or getting hassled, right? Yeah. All right. I better go to bed. See you guys later. Oh, and check out Sunny's video over on Japanarchus. It's a much lighter video than this. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll see a different side of me. Maybe too much. See ya.
great man. Give him a break because he sure deserves one. And when he's back from his break, you'll see his parts made in Japan. He is the modern man. So give him a break.
Hey, ass!